The club football semi-final this weekend. Before we get into them and talk about them, first thing in was a tweet from someone called Nemo. He goes, "The biggest thing to discuss is why the games are on this weekend, the first weekend of the new year. It's good for us at home watching, but criminal for prestigious games to be played at this time. A great show that you do, though," which is fair play for that, Nemo.
I always like when someone throws in criminal.
Yeah.
It's criminal.
Do you think it's criminal playing an All-Ireland semi-final in January the 4th and 5th, considering the two codes?
I think they could have left it another week. I don't think it would have made that much of a difference if it had been another week. Like, just for this time, like...
Yeah,
if it's
the only thing though, you're getting closer and closer to the inter-county league starting, and then all of a sudden the spotlight is pushed away. But I suppose...
Which has always been the case up until now anyway.
Which was always a drawback for it.
Yeah, the All-Ireland semi-finals would usually be lost in the league weekend in the middle of February.
But there's been big spotlight for the clubs over the last couple of months when there's been nothing happening in inter-county, and it just always seems so counterproductive that right as it's getting to the All-Ireland semi-final and final stage, it's drowned out by inter-county action.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but it just... some people would say it's only one year. This is only going to happen for 1 year, so it's okay. Next year's semi-finals are in the middle of December. So,
but this might be the one chance only that some of these teams get.
Very true. Yeah.
So the semi-finals are Corofin, Nemo, and Ballyboden St Enda's against Kilcoo. But just to get back to that point again, it's kind of lucky that the weather has been pretty good this week. So it could have been worse. The players have obviously been denied a Christmas where they can throw the shackles off and go nuts and all that.
I wonder, did anyone like enjoy themselves? Like, was there a couple of tearaways that would just be like, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to go mad. I'm not going to go 6 nights in a row at it, but I'm going to enjoy myself Christmas Day, and I'm going to enjoy myself Stevens' Day. Is there any resentment then amongst fans? Like, Johnny was out there and wrong.
Yeah. Letting down the club after he won the provincial.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say it would be okay if players went out on Christmas Eve, enjoyed their Christmas Day, have a few drinks at home, have your dinner, and then Stephen's Day maybe we'll all meet up and run it out.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. I'd say Christmas Day was the cut off. I'd say you could get away with it. Not get away, but I'd say you were probably allowed to do whatever, Because if you can't get it out of you in the space of time that you have between the All-Ireland semi-finals, it's all a matter. It's more of a frame of mind, to be honest with you, than anything, than a physical thing.
So Corofin against Nemo, and when you think of that fixture, you can't but jump back to the 2018 All-Ireland final, 219 to 10 points. It wasn't just a beating, it was an absolute drubbing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was... Corofin have saved their 3 best performances maybe ever for their 3 most recent All-Ireland final wins.
They were all double digits.
Yeah, they've been savage, and they were all over. Before they started, really. Do you know what I mean?
And like the Nemo game, was probably the high point of club football, as in terms of like, what's the best display you've ever seen? That can't be far off.
No, it wouldn't be far off.
Because Nemo wouldn't be a bunch of bums that just happen to get a handy draw and get somehow to an All-Ireland final.
A bunch of jobbers, as you say yourself.
This is a good team.
This is a class team.
With good inter-county players, and they just got absolutely pasted by a force of nature.
And with the tradition of... we get to finals and we win finals. Do you know? So it was mad in that respect. You can't help but think that Nemo this year already have banished the ghosts of Clonmel, and they'll be hoping to banish the ghosts of Corofin. That must really hurt them. With a club with that tradition that they have, it must really, really hurt them. They're back exactly where they wanted to be now, though. They're back in the final. The circumstances are different now. So like, it's not playing in Croke Park with perfect conditions, with like the most ideal conditions of all time. It's in Ennis,
which is actually one of the biggest. No, it's one of the biggest fields in Ireland. This is one of these absolute misnomers. I
love these misconceptions. I'm a big fan of them.
Complete misnomer. No, but like it's a tight little ground in the sense that it's small. The stands aren't particularly high. It feels a little bit claustrophobic in the stands. But if you actually measure out the dimensions of the pitch, it's actually up there with the biggest pitches in Ireland. And you'll see every time that people talk about it'll be tight down in Clare, the Clare journalists are out in force. And they're saying, what are you talking about? It's a huge field. So it is actually a very big field.
That's fair point. Okay.
So you and your nonsense.
It's just it's how closed in it is.
It can feel that way. Yeah. Like you can have a big pitch and all of a sudden it feels tight, like the athletics ground in Armagh. Yeah. Because the stands are kind of in on top of you, it's cool, little neat, tight ground. It probably feels a bit smaller. And Croke Park for the same. The stands are kind of leaning in over the top of it. So
the one thing you can guarantee, the pitch is not going to be to the same standard, obviously, as Croke Park. Yeah. It's going to be a lot softer. It won't have got like unbelievable lighting over the last while to make sure the growth is good. So they will like you were chatting to Luke Connolly before Christmas, and he basically said that they want to take them into a dogfight. They want, I think he used the word slog. They want to turn into a bit of a slog, and that's what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, because like Corofin definitely go through the slog in Galway. You know, in the last few years they've had their close games with Anna Down, Tuam Stars, Mount Bellew, Mylock. They're always in close games there, but as soon as they get out, and you know, they had to grind a couple of the games through Ballintubber and Pádraig Pearses. It's not like they beat Pádraig Pearses by 6 points, but it's not like they blew them away. But when they get to the new year, they tend to go a little bit further. But I suppose their closest game in the last few years was at Moorfield. Like, they really were put to the pin of their collar.
They lost a man very early that day, like first 5 minutes.
Very harsh also. Yeah, and Liam Silk, who scored the goal against Moorfield, he was the one who came up with the goal against Pádraig Pearses.
That's right. They're kind of like, this side of Christmas, they're kind of like, you know, a horse going to win a couple of handicaps by the bare minimum so they don't get driven up the weights, and then they go up to the big festivals, as in the club final and club semi-final, and then they just like, they're gone. It doesn't matter how, they just go for that perfect performance. That's kind of what they're like. If they were going to be caught, you'd imagine they would have been caught already.
Do you mean in the championship?
Yeah, if they were going to be caught in the sense of being anyway complacent or underperforming, which they have. They've underperformed several times already and they've gotten away with it.
All Ireland 3 in a row would be something else.
Be savage, yeah.
Because it's been hanging over them since the get-go, and I've interviewed a few of them like Kieran Fitzgerald and Gary Sice, and I always bring up the 3 in a row thing, and it really seems to not necessarily, well, certainly the way they react, it doesn't really enter their thought process. But I wonder, does it seep in eventually? You know, we went for it there in 2018, as in, which would have been going into 2019 when Ballyhale ended up winning it. But it definitely wasn't a topic of conversation.
Would you?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. Like, it's not something that came up. No, we lost the Dublin County semi-final, so maybe you just didn't get far enough to really be talking about that. And you got used to never setting your goals too far ahead.
Yeah,
and maybe that's the beauty with Corofin. They never actually do set their goals too far ahead. Like in the Galway Championship, they were missing different lads at different times. The likes of Fitzgerald, the likes of Micheál Lundy, Dahi Burke, different guys like this. And actually, there's another guy, an absolute dog of war, Dahi Burke, like a man for all seasons. And if you look through their team, the team that beat Pádraig Pearses, like throughout the team, there's a bit of class. Liam Silk, Kieran Malloy, like Dahi Burke.
Without being smart, I'm looking at it here. Just read out the 1 to 15 because it's outstanding.
Bernard Power, Cathal Silk, Kieran Fitzgerald, Liam Silk, Kieran Malloy, Conor Cunningham, Dylan Wall, Dahi Burke, Ronan Steed, Gary Sice, Michael Farraher, Jason Leonard, Micheál Lundy, Martin Farraher, and then topped off with All-Star Ian Burke.
Like, they're all household. Like, I would say, off the top of my head, anybody that watches any bit of football would know at least 12 of those. There's not too many clubs where you know 12 or 13 of their starting 15.
And they've got class and power. Like Ian Burke would be the small man in there, but he's a little maestro. He's
kind of probably waiting to explode. He hasn't had any unbelievable performances really so far this year, but he's the sort of lad that could just deliver at the weekend. I mean, interesting game. Everything is up against Nemo, but in a way they're coming in a nice position.
Are they any better than they were in 2018?
Jeez, they fairly wiped the floor with commercials anyway in the Munster final.
Yeah, like I went over their last 8 games and they've won them by an average of 8 points a game. And that's going into that's throughout the Cork Championship and throughout Munster. But if you were to analyse, you know, if you were to try and chip away at that, is the Cork Championship all that unbelievably strong? I don't know if it is. Then if you look at the Munster Championship, they beat the Limerick champions Newcastle West by 3 points, which wouldn't exactly fill you with confidence. Yeah. Then they beat Austin Stacks, who hadn't played a game in 2 months or something like that.
Played in ages,
weren't actually the Kerry champions.
Yeah.
And then they beat Clonmel team that's basically won one Munster title 4 years ago, but other than that hasn't really, you know, wouldn't be setting the world alight outside of Tipperary, even though they're a really, really good team.
I know where you're coming from.
But are they actually, like, is there enough evidence there to say, well, this team has kind of done enough in the last year and 3/4 to think that they could beat Corofin?
From a Corofin point of view, I'd be fair wary.
Oh, you'd have to be wary.
This is the team that should be most wary.
But you and I aren't taking the field here. I mean, we're talking here from a position where we can just go analyse it coldly. Have they enough changed in that period of time? Like, they've Luke Connolly, Paul Kerrigan, Barry O'Driscoll. You know, they have some good players, but do they have enough?
I don't think they'd be too far off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think Corofin will just do enough. But I don't think we're going to get an All-Ireland final type performance. I think it's only 3 or 4 points in it. I think it'll be similar to the OurGame last year. I think it'll be nip and tuck, per se, but it'll be 60-40 Corofin the whole way. I think Nemo will hang in there, and it'll be tight, but Corofin will see their way through.
So up to Cavan then for Ballyboden against Kilcoo. Their most recent outings, if you were to just look at those, Kilcoo beat Naomh Conaill of Donegal 2-11 to 2-9 in the Ulster final. Landmark win. It was their 8th time in Ulster in the past, we'll say, or was it 7th time in 8 years? Something like that.
8, I think, yeah.
So they finally got over the line there, and Ballyboden beat Éire of Carlow 8 points to 6. They were down late on, got the last 3 scores late on from Warren Egan, Ryan Baskell and Michael Darren McCauley. So they got through that. And, you know, if you try and analyse Ballyboden's form, like, they won the All-Ireland in 2016. They're, I don't know, like, since then, had they done a huge amount to impress you? You know, they haven't exactly been coming out of Dublin all guns blazing, and even this year, they got through, and obviously it's impressive to win Dublin, but it's not like they were unbelievable at all times.
They've never been unbelievable at all times, though. That's not the sort of side they are. They're not going to blow you away or anything like that. It's more kind of the some of their parts. Like, I don't think they're a side that's ever going to blow you away. The Leinster final was probably set up for, not set up for them to lose, but there was a lot of things really went against them, and they were still able to eke through. The same as they did in against Portlaoise and Tullamore a couple of years ago when they went on to win the All-Ireland. The same as they did against Commercials in the All-Ireland semi-final when they were, I forget what they were down in normal time, but they were well down, and it ended up that Clonmel didn't score in extra time, and then they absolutely blew away. Was it Caspar Mitchell's in the All-Ireland final? Yeah. So, like, that was probably one of the first and only times where they've blown away anyone. But they just do enough. They're not that sort of side. They're not going to, like, it's not going to be wow every time you see them, but you'll kind of end up thinking, geez, they're a really solid side who invariably just do what they have to do.
That Éire game, the weather was biblical. It was horrendous. And actually, the more I was looking at their fixtures in recent times, the fact that they beat Éire without playing unbelievably well, that showed steel. And the fact that they did it late on showed nerve also. If you look at the Nafina game, now obviously there was the situation where Conor McHugh got his second yellow or got a red card and couldn't come back on for extra time, and he was playing unbelievable, and it was cynicism from Declan O'Mahony.
Yeah, cynicism. I saw you saying on Twitter, do what you have to do.
Yeah, of course.
Would they be here now?
No, they possibly wouldn't.
It's a very nasty thing he did.
Yeah, but like, and of course, like if the rules, like, you do have to take advantage of the rules.
Yeah.
And the rules kind of, it was very harsh to Nafina. But either way, the point is that Ballyboden sneaked through another really tough game. So they're always doing enough.
Yeah.
So they're a team that, like, Kilcoo aren't going to get out in handy here. Now, Kilcoo had obviously been playing challenge matches over December. Ballyboden had to play a league final against Ballymun. So they had their first competitive loss of the entire 2019 calendar.
That was actually a great story as well.
9.6. Yeah, go ahead with
the Smalls after their dad dying a couple of weeks previous. And did John Small kick the winning point?
Or was it John or Paddy? I don't know.
Yeah, one of them kicked the winning point, and then they were...
The two of them lifted the cup together.
Yeah, that was a great scene, like, in fairness. And to be fair, from a Ballyboden point of view, it probably, in a sense, it was no harm that they were beaten, because it just kind of brings them back down to earth almost again, you know?
Well, it gave them a game of, like, it's nice to win a league final, but a game of no real consequence in the grand scheme of things. They started 10 of the Leinster final team, and they could find, you know, the management have been able to probably pick holes in that for the last couple of weeks and say, lads, what we did against Ballymun won't be good enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Only getting 8 points, albeit the weather against Éire. They can probably say to their players, not good enough. So there's stuff to build on. What about Kilcoo, though? Like, to finally get there. Are they the sort of team that's going to be satisfied with that Ulster title? Are they going to want to kick on?
Definitely don't think Mickey Moore will be satisfied with it anyway. No, he's been around kind of this situation before. He's obviously there with Schlockneil. They were probably very unlucky not to get over the line the year they had someone sent off against Dr. Crokes. He'd be mad to get back to a final again, and it's just kind of his way. It's just always his way to be in around these like big, massive club games, provincial and All Irelands. I haven't seen a huge amount of Kilcoo. I'd imagine there would have been a fair release valve after winning Ulster, and they'll just think, right, it took us this long to get an Ulster. Who knows? And we talked about Ulster before. Like, Ulster was, to me, by far the most competitive provincial club football championship. Yeah. So they don't know if they're going to get back there again. This is a great opportunity. We're saying about Ballyboden, they're not playing a Vincent's at their pomp.
And like Conor Laverty is 34, 35. Yeah. So, I mean, how many chances do you get at it?
They're not playing a team that are going to blow them away. So they're just going to have to, as I said, they're going to have to match him for steal. They're going to have to. It's not going to be the really nice things that are going to win the game. Yeah. So if Kilcoo would have to try and take advantage of this situation. They don't know when it's going to happen again.
Yeah, because I was reading a piece from Andy Waters in the Irish News, and he had some quotes from the Conleth Gilligan, who's an assistant manager to Mickey Moran with Kilcoo, and he goes, experience is always a factor, but Kilcoo is a very experienced team. That is something new and different, and this is something new and different, and there's a huge amount of excitement, and there's an advantage in that because we are just playing this game. There's no looking beyond it. This game is uncharted territory. Challenge is our only focus, and that's an advantage in itself. I suppose the contrast being that Ballyboden have won All Ireland before, and their eyes are on a greater prize. But I don't know, does that play any part in it?
I don't think it plays a massive part. Ballyboden, same as, I know we've kind of said different things about the Dublin Championship, but they wouldn't be sure when they're going to be in this situation again. Yeah. I just think they'll have a bit too much. They just have that really hard edge, and I just think
the Brannigans and the Johnsons have a fairly hard edge and quality to boot, and Laverty in there too.
I'm not doubting it. I'm not doubting that hard edge at all. I just think that if it's in any way tight, Ballyboden just invariably seem to find a way, and will find a way.
And another thing that Andy wrote in the Irish News was about the Basquel brothers, Ryan and Colin Basquel. In the Dublin final win over Thomas Davis and the 3 games in the Leinster Championship that followed it, the Basquels scored 226, Colin 212, Ryan 14 out of their side's total of 448. 226 of 448 is some going.
It's a fair effort. Remember the Dooley scored 211 of Offaly's 316, the 94 All Ireland. Things like this you just don't forget. What's that got to do with the price of cash? You just don't forget. But they'll be looking at if they can stop one or both, they'll have a great chance of winning. Right. Don't think this will be particularly appealing on the eye somehow. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a 116 to 114 or something like that. I think you're more looking at a 12-10 job.
I'm finding it hard to call this one.
Yeah, I would just go Ballyboden's, like, just a bit of a, I don't know, not experience, just that bit of steel that they seem to invariably get over the line, not playing unbelievably well.
The down players are going to know Breffni Park a bit better. You'd imagine a few more of them have had a bit more experience there. Don't know if it makes massive difference, but just even a familiarity with the venue, sometimes you kind of show up and you're a bit more relaxed. In a game of fine margins, those things can count. Maybe not, maybe I'm scratching for a reason to pick Kilcoo, other than the fact that they're a very good team. But yeah, it's hard to just go against a team that has been here and won an All Ireland before. So yeah, probably just about go with them myself. Yeah, so that's it for Club Talk this week. Don't forget to like the video, share it, write any comments in under it, and we'll respond to them the next day. If there's something we forgot, let us know, and we'll do a video on the next day. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.